Hello, my friend. It's Heather. It's the Back to Me podcast, and it's a happy new year. I hope you're having an excellent day. The first episode to kick off our new year is so great. I was speaking with Dr. Stephanie Lopez, and we were talking about self acceptance and self awareness and self accountability and resilience. And at the end, I had oh my gosh, I said an epiphany. And maybe you will too. So have a listen. Let me know what you think. I hope you're having a great start to year. Take care, my friends. See you soon. Hi, my friends. Welcome. This is the Back to Me podcast, and this is Heather, and I am super excited that you're here. You are going to hear some tips and some tricks and some ideas to help you live your happiest and healthiest self. I call it Back to Me because when you are taking care of yourself, back to me, then you can take better care of others, and we can all make the world a better place. This is Wellness Your Way, and I am super happy that you're here. To the audience. Hello, my friends. This is Heather. This is the Back to Me podcast, and welcome. I hope you're having a fabulous start to your year. Holy moly. That means it's 2024, right? Got to check my calendar.
2024. Yes. Like, how did this happen?
I don't know. I can't figure out. I lost track as soon as 2020. Like, I never really updated my calendar from then, which is sad.
I was going to say, I got stuck in 2020. I did.
Exactly. Yeah. So welcome, my friends. This is Dr. Stephanie Lopez.
Hi,
an amazing
everybody.
Human being, where it's always summer in Florida, right?
Yes, it truly is.
It truly is. It's the land with the magic kingdom.
Yes.
Oh my goodness. I have been to the Magic Kingdom. Everyone should go there at least once. It's like Vegas. Everyone should go once.
Absolutely.
And just experience it.
Yeah.
And you are joining us because today we're going to talk all things wonderful about wellness, but specifically we're going to talk about resilience. What a good time of year to talk about resilience, actually, because the holidays, the partying, the resolutions, all the things that happen.
Yes.
But before we jump into that, I'm always, because I'm a super curious human, how did you get into being Dr. Stephanie Lopez? What took you into that?
Okay. Like into the specific degree or this field? Or...
The field, however you want to dive into that one. It's all open for you.
Okay. All right. I will start in the middle.
Okay.
So picture October 2013, and I am working at NASA as an organizational development psychologist. And I walk into a training, and it's not the kind of training I've ever been to. There's a circle of chairs in a white room and flip charts. In 2013,
that'd be a bit weird.
That was weird. So I'm like, okay, gonna go in open-minded. And I will tell you, it is the most powerful experience of my entire life. It is. It was a 5-day experiential workshop that was really rooted in increasing my self-awareness, increasing my self-acceptance, and increasing my self-accountability, which that may not mean a lot to a whole lot of people, but it basically blew my mind. By noon on day one, I was like, everyone needs this. Everyone. Now, I've since changed it to every open-minded human, which I think is going to be everyone that's listening to your show.
Right.
Because there's some people that are just not ready for it. But that changed the trajectory of my entire life.
That's amazing.
Yes. So to go to the beginning, I was raised by two parents who dealt with emotions in very different ways. And that left me feeling like I wasn't resilient. And like, if I'm being really open, like I was broken. Right. I felt like I didn't know how to deal with hard things, but I kept on putting myself in situations where I was in hard circumstances, working on my PhD, working, part-time during that, full-time during the other part. But then I was just like, always feeling anxious. And sometimes I would have these rage moments and I'm like, what is wrong with me? Anyway, so
Right.
we're going to talk a lot about that today because so that's how I was feeling going into this. And then I realized, oh my God, nothing is wrong with me. I just
Right.
need to change a few things that are completely in my control. And yeah, so fast forward 8 years, 7 more years, I think, after that. And I left NASA January 2021 and I opened my own business. And here we are.
Wow. Wow. It's like one of those TV shows zipping you back and forth through time. I love it.
Yes.
Was the NASA thing something that they were just threw all their employees into? What was that?
No, so they have a lot of, they were called center-wide trainings that you could opt into. And I
Ah,
heard from people like, you need to take this. And I heard also conflicting things like, oh, this is the crying class. But I wasn't afraid to cry. So I'm like, that's weird, but okay. Yeah.
that it's so funny because my husband did his degree, his master's degree. I don't know if you've heard of Naropa University.
Mm-mm.
It's a Buddhist, um, uh, I guess, influence inspired founded university. It's a full university, and
That's
he got
super
his
cool.
yeah in Boulder, Colorado.
Oh,
And one of the things that they do there is a lot of self awareness work, and
mhm.
there's a lot of breakdowns, the breakdowns for the breakthroughs, as
Yes.
they say. And
Yes.
we have a joke that we always have to say to each other that somewhere in the world right now there's a Naropa student crying. But sometimes it's like I describe crying for women as like, you're a pressure cooker. It's your pressure release valve. It's
Yeah.
just you gotta let it out.
Yep. Yep.
Otherwise, who knows how it's gonna come out.
Got to
Um,
feel it to heal it, baby.
I like that too.
Yes.
So you're working on self-awareness, self-response,
Accountability,
accountability, and
self-acceptance.
acceptance. I'm totally on board with the accountability side,
Yes. Yeah.
right?
Uh-huh.
I call it responsibility,
Yes. Yes.
right?
Yes.
And so then you're in your own practice and you have the brave method
Yes.
where you're teaching people more than those three, or how do you,
Basically those three. Yeah.
right?
Yep. That's like the foundation of all my programs. And I approach it different ways for like in-person workshops or virtual or retreats. But essentially, like that's the foundation of it.
Right. So so acceptance, I think, is so huge. And I wonder sometimes sometimes I think responsibility or accountability is partly because they are not accepting of who they are. They seem interwoven,
Yes.
or maybe not valuing awareness. Acceptance was kind of imparting as like a self-value thing.
Yeah.
And
I,
yeah,
yeah.
your thoughts on that?
Yeah. So I'll grab this pencil. And if they're listening, they can't hear. But okay. So this is the continuum of self acceptance. We can be low, we can be high, we can be anywhere in the middle. And a lot of people, what that I found is that they actually think that on one side is self acceptance and on one side is self improvement. So the reaction that I get from my clients is like, well, I can't accept myself or I won't be able to make the changes that I want. But it
Oh,
is actually like this. They are on two different axes. So we have self acceptance here and self improvement on the other. And so the higher that you are in self acceptance, the easier it will be to improve anything that you want to improve. So if you think about some like even like a physical sport, maybe you're playing tennis and you are pretty new and so you've got somebody coaching you, telling you what to do, how to get better, and you miss the ball. I'm not a tennis player, I don't know why I use that example, but so I'm like, the racket didn't hit the ball. Okay.
Something went wrong.
Something went wrong. And so you can imagine person A getting in their head, and maybe they kind of throw like an adult tantrum, either internally or externally. Maybe they throw the racket on the ground, or they're like, oh, I've been practicing, this shouldn't have happened. And they might have a coach talking to them and telling them like exactly what to do, what to adjust to get it right the next time. But where is their energy? Their
I'm
energy is
wrong.
in beating themselves up.
Yeah.
So if my energy is in beating myself up, how much energy do I have to keep an open mind and to think about what improvements I want to make? Not much. But that's how most people operate, including myself.
Right.
Because somewhere somebody along the way told me you have to beat yourself up, or maybe I observed people doing that, so I was like, oh well, this is how it works, this is what you do. Turns out I was wrong about like everything, and that is not true.
It's so, I mean, and sometimes it's not even anything that someone would know that you implanted that in you. It's like, you bring home, I'm going to say, you bring home a mark and your parent says, why didn't you get higher?
Yeah.
Oh my God, I didn't work hard enough.
Mm-hmm.
Or, look what I did. How come you didn't do it like this? Oh,
Yeah.
it's not right. Oh my God, it's not right. I'm failed. Yes.
Yeah.
I've been on that trip.
Mm-hmm.
And the adult tantrum. Oh my God, I had a partner at one point who, this part of the reason I left golf. If he didn't hit properly, he would throw his gloves.
Yeah.
So it's like, aren't we just on a nice walk outside? How are you
Yeah.
going to and you can't hear feedback if you're in that mind space,
No.
right?
No.
And
Mm-mm.
I guess resilience is that ability to, how do you define resilience before I make something up?
Yeah, I mean, I think of resilience like if we think about like the definition, if you like probably Googled it or something, it's the ability to recover from setbacks, adapt well to change, and keep going in the face of adversity. But I also think about it as basically I am in control of the way that I react and the way that I respond to situations. And the more that I believe that I have choice in that, which is another way to say self accountability, the more I will walk that way through the world. Versus the old me and many of my clients feel that someone can make them feel something.
Right.
And
So
so
true.
I can't control everybody else. So then I'm just at the whim of whatever happens in life.
And how many people do you find constantly and this goes to the awareness. Oh, I love all of them actually. Accountability, they weave together so well. I'm looking at my notes. Because there's so many people in the world who nothing is ever because of them. It's always someone has done something to
Mm-hmm.
them.
Mm-hmm.
And that's so endemic.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even know where it came from. Have humans always been that way?
Well, it is one of the most common defense mechanisms.
Oh.
Is to feel like a victim. And I'm going to explain what defense mechanisms actually are. First, what I think most people think they are is if I'm defensive, I am protecting myself from you. That is not what a defense mechanism is. A defense mechanism means I am protecting myself from feeling inadequate.
Oh.
So, people, including me, everyone is defensive because we all have insecurities. We all feel inadequate or don't want to feel like these insecurities many times a week, sometimes daily, sometimes multiple times a day. And basically, most people have no idea that they are actually defensive.
Right.
I can't remember the initial question that you asked, but this goes into like a whole slew of things around resilience and so many of my passions.
Right. And I think I was asking about resilience, but that's fascinating.
Yeah.
Because when you look at it that way, you're like, oh my gosh, you're right.
Yeah.
I mean, how many people, right now, And people have had traumas in their lives, big T traumas, little T traumas, but trigger warnings drive me crazy. I'm going to be completely honest. They
Mm-hmm.
drive me crazy because that's not allowing people to, I feel like, as a
Oh, when
non,
people will do like trigger warning, I
yeah, as
see.
a non, brain brain professional, I feel like constantly allowing people to stay in that state of you can't do that because you're going to trigger me doesn't allow them to move past it,
Expand,
expand past it. And maybe
evolve.
that's like I feel like we've lost a lot of resilience in the
Yeah. Yeah.
current time.
I see what you're saying. I know that people, are doing that from a good place.
They are.
Yeah. Yeah.
They do definitely do it from a good place. And I understand why they do it, but
Yes.
sometimes I fear the unintended consequences,
Yeah. Yeah. It's a great point for sure.
right?
Yes. Yeah.
And not to throw people to the lions,
Right. Yeah.
but help them find a way to help people move through those uncomfortable emotions that nobody likes to have them.
Mm-hmm.
But
Because, sorry,
you go ahead.
the more that we build our capacity to feel everything, all the negative stuff, all the positive stuff, the easier life feels.
Feel the feels. Feel the feels,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And the other thought that I had was when stuff does, because crap does happen,
Yes.
in
Yep.
life.
Yep.
And they're always, I don't think it means that you stop that initial reaction that you have, like that quick instinctual reaction, but then you can have that like stopper to say, hold on, I thank you for bringing that to my attention. Is this how I want to handle this situation?
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
And is that part of the process of learning how your awesome A's? I'm going to call them your awesome A's.
Yeah. 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 That initial reaction, it happens. And it's a matter of like, I have a choice when I notice this. And the first way to notice it is to notice what's happening in your body. Because before you have a, a thought about it, you have a physiological response. Some people turn that volume way down. And so one of my goals with my clients is to turn the volume up so that you're feeling everything in your body, because 80% of our emotion regulation happens in our body.
Holy cow.
Yeah. And so
And
like you can keep trying to do it in your head. Have
that's
fun.
crazy. How does that
Yeah.
work? I thought it was something in the brain. How does that work?
Yeah. So example,
Yeah.
through breath work, and all breath work is not created equal, but breath is one of the ways that we can regulate our heart. So for instance, if I am dysregulated, if I am feeling defensive, my heart many times is going to be beating faster. And so by regulating the body, I actually have control over slowing down my heart and calming myself just through something like that.
Right. So, okay. So, yeah, I've been teaching yoga for 19 years. So
Nice.
I was like, there's a lot of breath in yoga, and you use it for different things to do
Yeah.
different things. And it is so true. Like the breath just can change everything in an instant.
Mm-hmm.
And I do find it interesting that I just thought it was anomalies the occasional anomaly that people were so out of their bodies and into their heads. Do you find that there's a larger population doing that, or what do you think?
Like
Any
they don't
stats?
feel the reactions in their bodies.
Or they don't even know sometimes that they have bodies. Do you know
Yeah.
what I mean?
I wish I had like a percentage on this, but I feel like it's a pretty decent portion of the population. I don't have an exact number on that. And our numbers might be a little bit skewed because of who we're working with too.
Right, right. That's
Right.
true.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so yeah, I was I guess I've been teaching yoga 20 years now.
Wow.
Anyway, it's like, no, I'm only 25. But I retired from being a registered massage therapist. So where I am, it takes 2 years of school to get your RMT, your massage therapy degree. And it's part of the medical profession. I know sometimes in the US, it's like just a quick program, but
I
I
have no idea.
find, I did find, I would occasionally get people, and this is why I thought it was so strange because I've done yoga my practice so long myself, like I just feel like, and I'm also fairly kinesthetic. I just like, oh, I feel it twinge here. I'm running off to my physiotherapist.
Yeah.
But I would get people who would say to me, why do I have carpal tunnel syndrome? I've been working this job for 7 years and it never hurt. I'm like, it probably did. You just didn't notice
Mm,
it, right?
mhm. Or mind body connection stuff. So, um, if they are suppressing their emotions, it can and does show up in the body.
Oh, right.
Yeah. So, everyone has their own opinion on like what their belief is. And so, what I want to make sure that people aren't thinking I'm saying, it's not in your head. It literally is physical pain. And if you think of emotions as like energy to some extent, if you suppress it by not letting it out, either through openness, through processing, through journaling, through maybe like punching a punching bag, through some kind of release, if you hold it in, what happens to the energy? It goes somewhere. And obviously it's a lot more complicated than that. That's a oversimplified example. But there's more and more research that's showing that when we suppress our emotions, it shows up as physical pain.
Yes, I am a testament. I have seen it. Yogi teachers call it issues in the tissues.
Issues in the
and
tissues.
and it's very common. And sometimes new yoga teachers, it surprises them. But if you put people into pigeon and they start stretching their hips, inevitably someone's going to cry. And they
Mhm.
don't know why. And um, you just hold that space and say, it's okay, cry.
Yeah.
Who cares? Like,
Yeah.
let it go. But I
Yeah.
remember at one point I was treating someone and I just moved their shoulder. I was doing when I was a massage therapist, and she suddenly flashed into something like some emotional just by event by me moving her shoulder, and we had to like pause so she could take some
Yeah.
breaths. But
Yeah.
it's true, like your body remembers, your body stores things in
It does.
its own memory. We
It
aren't just
does.
brains walking around,
Yeah.
right?
So I'm not super educated in this area, but I worked with a holistic doctor of physical therapy, pelvic floor therapist. I can't remember her exact title. Anyways, but she said, like a lot of people come back to the center as the heart, but it's the pelvis
Mm,
from the way that she looks at it. And so when you said going into pigeon, stretching the pelvis, if that's our heart center is actually there and
right,
that's where we're holding a lot of things. I don't know, it just like clicked. I was like, well, yeah, I guess that makes
right.
sense. Yeah.
Well, it's because in the pelvis is the root chakra, which
Yeah. Oh,
is the root is your grounding, your safety, and your security.
yes. Yes.
Right? The heart chakra is more the love and expression and,
Mhm.
energy exchange with people. The root is your like, this is your safety place.
Yeah.
And yeah, totally. Right? Oh my gosh.
Yes.
So many ways that we can store things. And I mean, even you think, oh, that's crazy. Emotions can't cause stuff in the body. Think about when you're stressed and you're doing shoulder scrunching. I know the
Mhm.
listeners can't see it, but you scrunch your shoulders.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
that's right there is the easiest example of how you can actually do it. And I
Yeah.
used to
And
call my
most people accept stress can equate to a migraine. So like why do we draw this line where like, okay, emotions can impact this, but not that?
right,
Okay.
right, okay, no, it can. I used to call my office workers desk jockeys. They rode a desk for a living, and it caused its own certain kinds of stresses and pains.
Mhm.
And that's not to say stress is bad, right? So stress isn't necessarily it's gotten a bad rap, but
Mhm.
because we just throw it into one basket. But you need stresses in life to become resilient, I think, my
Mm-hmm.
opinion.
Mm-hmm.
What are your thoughts?
Yeah, challenging circumstances. Okay, so this is one where this is something that full transparency, like I don't have this totally mastered, and this is
You have
what
to.
I am working on buying into, and over time I am getting better and better. The way that I look at it is that nothing is inherently stressful. So what
Okay.
we know is that one job that our mind has is to put meaning on situations. It has five primary functions, and one of them is to make up stories. So I choose to label something as stressful. And when people sit back, like sometimes they get a little triggered when I say that. But if they take a step back and think about it and picture a scenario where more than one person was in a situation, the same situation, and they walk out of it. Let's do something simple for the sake of like a work meeting. Maybe they're rolling out the plans for the next 6 months or 12 months. And one person comes out and they're all stressed out. They're feeling anxiety. They're like, oh my gosh, this isn't going to go well. I'm so nervous. What's going to happen in my job? Oh, last time they didn't handle the change well. Right? Okay. And the
Right.
other person is like, oh my gosh, this could be huge. Like this, like totally different reactions. And so what is stress, but just a label that I choose to put on it. And I'm not coming from like some like righteous place. Like, do I call things stressful? Yes. But I always come back to this of like, I am choosing to label this as stressful.
And it's interesting that you say that because sometimes this has happened in my past where I have thought something was so terrible and so stressful. And then I went to explain it to someone and I would go, doesn't sound stressful when I say it out loud. Do you know what I mean? It's like
Yeah.
now that I'm
Yeah.
explaining to you, it sounds lame. Like, why am I upset?
Yeah.
But I think if we stay, it's okay. I dropped something. If we stay in that whirlpool in our head,
Yeah.
we can spin ourselves quite quickly into
Mhm.
a
Mhm. And this is one of the things that makes us not feel as resilient.
right,
So an underlying belief, and this goes hand in hand with what I was just talking about, an underlying belief that basically everybody has, they just probably need to tune into it, is this shouldn't be happening, or some version of that. And so that is resisting life.
right,
And you can choose not to resist life. And I'm not saying just everything is whatever it is and I can't change anything. No, 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 no. In this exact moment, I can choose to fight it or I can choose to accept it. So, example, I get in my car. This is when I was working at NASA. And when I was let me back up a little bit. The first time this was presented to me, I was like, what? Like, I'm a control freak. What is this, like, surrender, acceptance? Like, what are they talking about? Like, that
they're
doesn't make any
crazy.
sense. They're crazy. So, I like to be transparent. So, I was there. Okay. So, then I really started stepping in more and more and more to this. And we'll like rewind to, I think this was 2018. And I got in my car after work and I had 60 miles left to my gas tank. And I lived about 40 minutes away. So I'm like, okay, I'll pick up my daughter from daycare and we will get home. That way I don't have to stop at the gas station with her in the car. She was like 1. So you know where this is going.
Yeah.
Right, right? So we end up on the side of the road with no gas. I'd never run out of gas before, so I was like, well, yeah, that's what happened. So the old me, to go back to the beginning of our conversation today, I would have fought it. I would have beaten myself up. I would have been like, you saw the light come on. You knew how many miles. Look what you did. You have a baby in the car, all this kind of
You're
stuff.
on the side of the road.
You're on the side of the road now. How long is it going to take to get help? But what I did is I picked up my phone and I made a phone call and got out of the car walked around, took her out of her car seat, and I played with her.
She probably didn't care.
She didn't care. That is acceptance. And so, would someone in the world label that moment as stressful?
Totally.
Yes.
You
Is
can
that
see them on the
moment
side of the road.
right? Is that moment stressful? No. It's stressful if you fight it.
Right. If you put parameters on it, if you say, I have to be XYZ here, there, everywhere.
Yeah.
Yes, I had that experience October 29th, 2021. I had a stroke. I always have to look over at my calendar because I never really know what year it is.
Yeah.
I had a stroke and I thought the doctors were crazy. I'm like, you're crazy. Do you know how healthy I am?
Yeah.
And I was in the emergency room. It was during COVID. No one could visit me. So I was alone and there was no beds. So I spent 3 days in the emergency room on a cot.
On a cot.
It was pretty hard. It was, but you know, I had other stuff going on. But
Yes.
I was like, no, 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 no. I mean, I don't think I was stressed, but I was fighting with them. It's like you're arguing for, no,
Yeah.
this isn't happening.
Yes.
And then thankfully, because of a long 25 odd year meditation practice, at some point my brain kicked in and went, Heather, they're doctors.
Yeah.
They have things. They know what's going on inside your head. Could you just let them do their jobs?
Yes.
And I said, okay. So I just took a big exhale and I said, whatever's happening now is just fine. I'm going to be fine. Everything's fine. And I did a 3-day silent retreat with myself.
Wow.
But it took a few minutes because I've never been in the hospital before for my brain to kick in and go, Heather,
Yeah.
remember all that practice you do about staying
Yes.
centered? This is
Yeah.
a good time to use it.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah. Well, you bounced back into that quite quickly. And
Yes.
that was the practice, right? Because that you could have, after the hospital, then like many weeks or months and still fighting it in some way and feeling upset. And why did this happen to me? Which is fine. Those are all normal thoughts
Yes,
because that's scary.
it is.
Yeah.
But I went with, holy cow, you got to be kidding me. Like
Yeah.
I switched from fighting with them to having conversations with them about what it looked like, how it worked, what's all the ins and outs of it. I mean, I could still have a conversation. I still can't find some words. You can tell every now and then I'm like looking for them. But I would say I'm pretty much 100% recovered, like totally
Wow.
fine. And instead I took it as let's see how well I can get
I
from
love that.
this. Like
Yeah.
I took it as a blessing because it made me shift my focus in my coaching career from just business coaching to I've got to help people be resilient in a way to recover from
Wow.
the bumps in the road, right?
Wow.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
So
That's
that's
beautiful.
yeah.
You're
And
maybe like this and I don't know, I'm just making this up because I'm not you, but I'm just imagining being in your shoes of like, if there was a way for you to shift into like, how could this be actually happening for me? And I have all this data in my life that things somehow they work out.
yeah, they always work out if you let them
Mhm.
help you. So I decided to let it inform, figure out why, in my opinion, why it happened to me. Sometimes I say the universe kicked me in the ass as hard as it could
Yeah.
without permanent damage to get my attention.
Wow.
And I said, okay, I'm on the road. Thank you for letting me know.
Yeah. Wow.
and I did a lot of practices to heal. And yeah, I mean, I'm really good. Like I feel like some people would still, like you said, still be angry or upset or not recovered. And I was very lucky that I recovered really quickly. And I know some people don't. There
Yeah.
are things you can do. They take time because your brain heals in a funny way, but it can be done, right?
Yeah.
And that's like resilience. For me, resilience is so many things. It's
Mhm.
dealing with the bumps in the road.
Mhm.
It is that acceptance of who you are and the being able to tune into your reactions to things. And then, oh my gosh, I could talk about this all day.
Yeah. Yeah. Me too. I know. I'm like, wow, we've already talked for like over 30 minutes
I
and we're
know,
just getting
right?
started, guys.
And there's so much more to talk about.
Yeah. Yeah.
But so for resilience, so when you're help, I mean, everyone's going to come in a different way,
Yeah.
but so you have you said one-on-one and group and
Yep.
retreats,
Yep.
and they're all to the same intention, I guess.
Yes. Yes. It's just a matter of like how high touch do you want? How much community do you want? How much do it yourself?
Right.
Yes.
And
Yes.
there are things that it's funny because I hated group work in school
Yeah.
because I always was that I can do it myself person.
Yeah.
But as I've gotten older, I have seen incredible value in being in a group space,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
It's a different way to engage and have energy. So I like a balance of both now.
Mhm.
So I know you don't have to tell us the whole thing, but how is it like a quick snapshot of how it helps people, or how they
Sure.
develop the resilience?
Yeah. So let's see. I don't know if I'll just say this and then I don't know how it will resonate. It probably depends where people are with their journeys. But
Yeah.
one of the biggest things that I work with people on is to change their relationship with emotions. I found that most people are cutting their emotions off, suppressing their emotions, not allowing themselves to have some, like looking at some emotions as bad. And that is actually kind of ruining their life in many ways. And that goes hand in hand with defense mechanisms. So, one of the other foundational things that I work with people on in almost all of my programs is recognizing what are defense mechanisms. There's like over 45 signs of defensiveness. So basically, it's safe to assume if you're human, you are defensive.
Yeah.
Um, but you don't have to be. So helping them recognize and identify what are like my go-to defense mechanisms and then guiding them through what to do so that they're reducing how often they get defensive and recovering more quickly when they do. It's not a perfection model by any stretch.
Right.
The last piece that's pretty foundational to all the work that I do is around openness. And this goes hand in hand with self awareness, but it also goes hand in hand with having difficult conversations. So, as it turns out, if I'm more open with myself around what I'm experiencing, what in total, my emotions, my thoughts, my memories, my dreams, my fears, my intuition, if I'm more open with myself about those things, and a lot of people are not, I can be more open with you and much more easily connect. I will stay out of defensiveness. So things between us will work well. And this is in a work context and any other context.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. So you're not working just with office workers,
Right.
right? It's like,
Right.
and I mean, people have even office workers have real lives with other people. So
Yeah. Yeah.
yes, I think sometimes that we're trying to create Pleasantville
Mm-hmm.
where nothing is ever bad and nobody is ever upset. And when someone's upset, we're like, just cheer up or get over it or calm down.
Which is
Or,
defensiveness. If I'm trying to make you not feel certain things, what that is a massive red flag for is that I'm not comfortable with feeling those things.
oh, that's only one of the 40 odd.
Yeah,
We could do a whole show on like, here's
defensiveness.
number one. No, I don't.
Yeah, yeah,
Poor, just talk to Dr.
yeah.
Stephanie about that one. Just call her up. Like and we're gonna have in the show notes and yes, in the show notes all the links so that people can get a hold of you
Thank
and
you.
connect
Yeah.
with you.
Mhm.
And um Oh my gosh, thank you so much. I feel like
Thank you for having me.
I just love these conversations because I find them fascinating. Part of the podcast is I learn so much stuff. So I know that my friends out in podcast land learn stuff too. But before you go,
Yeah.
I always ask if you have a final word of wisdom for people.
Final word of wisdom. Oh,
You can have more
goodness.
than one word if you want.
That's the way I took it. I wasn't just going to have one. It was a phrase. Yeah. It's so I guess in line with what we talked about today, where you get triggered or have a strong emotional reaction, bring it back to yourself. So what bugs me about you, and I'm talking about like really bugs me, like if it really bugs me about you, it's actually about me. And so that's shining a light on your insecurities, and you have an opportunity to heal those, to overcome those, to make it so that those are not your triggers anymore. You have a choice.
That's outstanding because you didn't trigger me, but you just made me say, oh my God, she's right. Okay, I just had a big learning moment, friends.
I'm so glad.
Thank you so much, Stephanie. It was so amazing talking to you. Yeah.
Thank you for having me.
Let's stay in touch. Brave-method.com.
Yes.
It's in the show notes. Click it. Go see Stephanie. And you have retreats. Where are your retreats? In Florida?
Yep, they're in Florida. My next goal is to go international. I don't know if that will be this year, 2024, or next year, 2025, but
Right.
that is part of the plan.
You know, up here in Canada, going to Florida in February is kind of like a vacation for us.
That's
although
true.
We might cry, but it's okay. All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, friends in podcast land. If you did learn something right there, if you just had an aha like I did, give me a comment and let me know. Share it with your friends because they probably could use this as well.
Absolutely.
Take care, my friends. I will see you soon. Hi, my friend. Thanks so much for listening to this entire podcast. If you found it useful and you're like me and you like helping others, please feel free to share this. Just give it a like, give it a comment. If you found something useful in it, there's a chance that someone else will find something useful as well. Also, if you have any questions at all, I can absolutely help, and I would love to help. You can email me at heather@prosperityflowcoaching.com. If you want more of this awesome content, you can follow me on Instagram, Heather Stewart Coaching. You can follow me on Facebook, Prosperity Flow Coaching. And I have a personal request. I want to help as many people as I can with these podcasts. And if you could give me a review, hopefully a good one, if you could share, if you could send this out into the world, I would truly appreciate it. I hope you have an amazing day, and I hope that you find your way to wellness by getting back to me. Take care, my friend.